All right, everyone, now that we have 2 o'clock, maybe we will get things underway. I want to welcome all of you to the first of a series that the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce is launching called Asked and Answered. This is an opportunity, obviously, through the COVID pandemic. We're finding that business people have a lot of questions in regards to the programs that are available and how they can apply for them, what the accessibility looks like, and very many more questions that they have. So this is a new initiative that we're undertaking. Obviously, I think many of you are getting used to Zoom conferences similar to this and webinars to be able to get information. So this is the first time that we're going to undertake this. So a couple of basic ground rules to start here. You will notice on your screen, for some of you that this may be the first time, that there is a mute function. We would encourage you to have the mute function. We will probably end up muting most of you. As we go through the question and answer portion, what we would ask is that at the bottom of your screen is a chat element. If you have specific questions that you would like to have asked, I think what works best, and we've done this in others, is simply type in your question through that chat function, and those will come up, and I'll try to ask Willie and Michael as many of the questions that come through as possible. Some respondents have already provided with a list of questions in advance, so I think that will help things along. So this is one of many different vehicles that the Manitoba Chambers of Commerce is using right now to continue to provide updated information to not only the chamber network throughout Manitoba, and I can tell there's a number of chamber managers from throughout the province that are on this call, but also to the broader business community in terms of some of the many questions that they have as they're trying to navigate through a variety of programs in relation to accessing funding as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. So with that, we will get underway. And so we're joined today on our first call by two guests. One is Michael Selsey. Michael is the Senior Vice President for Prairies for the Business Development Bank of Canada. And Mr. Willie Fogang is a Senior Account Manager at Export Development Canada, or EDC. So first, welcome to both Michael and Willie for taking the time to be on the call with us today. And to kick things off, I think what we'll do is that we'll provide Michael with an opportunity to provide a bit of an update on what EDC is doing. And there'll be some information that is shared on the screen, and then Willie will follow, and then we'll have a bit of a moderated Q&A following that. So with that, we will welcome Michael, who's been a former vice chair of the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce, and welcome back to the Chamber Network here in Manitoba, Michael.
Good afternoon, Chuck. It's good to see you, and it's a pleasure to be joining the Manitoba Chamber. It's been 6 years since Manitoba was my home, so I miss it. Still a Jets fan. Sorry I can't see them. They were having a good season, so sorry I can't see that play out, but very happy to join you here today. So with respect to BDC and the Business Development Bank of Canada, I'm going to give you a short overview before we turn it over to Willie to talk about EDC, Export Development Canada, on some of their programs. But I'm going to run through some of the federal government programs, BDC initiatives, some of those that are intended to help the SMEs help weather this COVID-19 situation that we've been going through. So let's have a look, first of all, about really quickly who Business Development Bank of Canada is. I'll take a few seconds here just to introduce them. We are Canada's development bank. We're devoted exclusively to helping entrepreneurs get going or continue to get going or provide liquidity like we are doing right now in the ecosystem in Canada. We complement the role provided by banks and credit unions across the country. Our shareholder is the Government of Canada. BDC has been profitable for over 20 years, so we try to find a way to maintain our own viability while also taking on more risk and extending liquidity, capital, financing and loans, venture capital, and advisory services and consulting to entrepreneurs across the country. So let's dive right in and talk about some of the programs that are available. If you own a small business in Manitoba, then the Canada Emergency Business Account might be right for you. You may have applied already. This program can help small businesses access up to $40,000 in interest-free loans. It's delivered by the commercial banks and credit unions, but it's guaranteed by the government to qualifying businesses that are struggling with their cash flow. So I know many are having a tough time out there. All non-essential businesses have been closed for several weeks now, and this program might be available for them. It's $25 billion for small businesses and for not-for-profits. It's intended to cover their operating costs during a period where their revenues have been temporarily reduced due to the pandemic. It'll help them be in a better position also to return to business once communities get going, and it might be able to help them sustain some employment. Small businesses and not-for-profits should contact their primary financial institution or their credit union. Most have online application processes. I know I was checking out TD, Royal, CIBC, for example, saw that they all had online processes for their clients to apply. I'm sure that's the case with the majority of others. Qualifying companies need to demonstrate that they paid at least $20,000 to $1.5 million in total payroll in 2019. If they repay the balance of the loan on or before December 31st, 2022, it will result in loan forgiveness of 25%. So these are interest-free loans where up to $10,000 could actually end up being free. It doesn't have to be repaid. It would look more like a grant in that circumstance. The program's not administered by BDC or EDC. Businesses should go directly to their financial institution, but the program is guaranteed by the Government of Canada. So a very, very helpful program for many, I'm sure, but one not where it would be speculative. So clearly there needs to be a need for the business, and if there isn't for the business, you know, let's let another company take advantage. The next program available for small and medium-sized companies is a loan and guarantee program. It'll enable up to $3 billion. So $25 billion in the first program, Chuck, $40 billion in this program. It's a lot of money available to create liquidity for businesses across Canada. This is where BDC and EDC play a huge role in supporting this financing. Eligible companies between the two institutions could obtain up to $12.5 million through these two lending streams. So I'll cover off BDC because I know Willie will cover off and speak to EDC later. But the first stream really is a co-lending program where BDC is working with the financial institutions to co-lend term loans to companies for their operational cash flow needs. It's risk shared. So in the background, 80% of the loan is being actually guaranteed by BDC. So the bank or the credit union does not have to worry about their risk. The financial institution's risk is 20%. Eligible businesses can obtain through BDC $6.25 million through the program, and $5 million of that would be guaranteed in the background by BDC. So again, businesses should contact their financial institution, credit union, or bank first. They actually conduct the underwriting and the application, and they fund for the customers. In the background, it is BDC that is actually doing, the guaranteeing. So no need to get us involved. The bank or credit union will handle that. Businesses must have been impacted directly or indirectly by the COVID-19 crisis. They should be viable prior to the impact of COVID-19. And again, please contact your financial institution directly. And Willie at EDC will cover the EDC component of this, I'm sure. So moving on to a program that is being directly administered by BDC. This program offers another $5 billion in available working capital. So the first program was $25 billion, as I mentioned, the Canada Emergency Business Account. The second program I spoke to between BDC and EDC backing the financial institutions was $40 billion. This program, another $5 billion, where BDC is providing short-term working capital up to $2 million for businesses. It really essentially is a working capital loan to cover their operating costs and help continuity of operations. We're asking certainly big companies to first approach their financial institution. If they've approached them and if they've already got some funding through them or they aren't able to get everything they need structured, then approach BDC. So for loans up to $100,000 through this program, they would first go through BDC's online financing program or online financing portal if they needed up to $100,000. Over that amount and up to $2 million, they would call a BDC account manager or manager in the province of Manitoba. We have a Roy Engel, our manager in Brandon, Johnny Lowen, one of our managers in Winnipeg, and Joanne McKean, a manager in West Winnipeg. All three you can find through our bdc.ca site. They will assign an account manager to you, and everybody on our team nationally has been working virtually since March the 15th. All our systems are up and running, and we are dealing with certainly an unprecedented amount of volume, but certainly looking at trying to get it to as many people as we can. So just to the last slide here, please speak to, first of all, if you're a BDC client, you're welcome to contact your account manager at BDC immediately. If you are a business owner, I ask, just from a scale perspective and ability to get to as many businesses as possible, talk to your primary financial institution first, scope out what they can help you with, and then further from there, if you need to reach out to ourselves. Lastly, a great source of information is visiting the Government of Canada's COVID-19 information hub. So it's got everything from, of course, public health support, which is important, government support from all areas for individuals, for employees, for businesses. It covers off work sharing programs, employment programs, subsidization of payroll programs, as well as the loan programs that I've spoken to as well. So very pleased to be here. And I think I'll turn it back to you, Chuck, and we'll take questions later, I guess.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Michael, for that information. And now what we'll do is we'll provide some commentary from Willie Fogang, who is the Senior Account Manager at Export Development Canada. And again, if you have questions, please type them through the chat link that's at the bottom, and we'll try to get to as many as we can. I can see some of them already coming in, but with that, we will pass the microphone to Willie.
All right. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Michael. Pleasure to meet you virtually, and thank you to the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce. Good afternoon to all the participants that have registered and are currently online on this Q&A session. I am very happy to be here to share a little bit an overview on Export Development Canada and how we're supporting businesses during these difficult times. At EDC, as an international trade and risk expert, we understand that the challenging times that businesses are going through right now, and this pandemic has significantly disrupted trade flows and supply chain, leaving many small, medium-sized, and large businesses uncertain about their economic future. EDC is here to help. and we can provide our expertise as well as our insurance, financial support in order to give businesses confidence to navigate through these challenging times. Next slide, please. Similar to BDC, we are a sister Crown Corp, wholly owned by the federal government of Canada, founded in 1944. EDC mandate is to support and develop Canada export trade by helping Canadian companies respond and develop international business opportunities. We have been expert in international trade and risk. We managed to take on the risk and make it safer for Canadian businesses to grow beyond our borders. Our unique suites of solutions can help businesses offset the risk of doing business domestically and abroad. We can offer financing and access to working capital that you need to sustain and thrive during these difficult times. As a self-financing Crown Corp, we are passionate about helping every Canadian company not only go, but grow and succeed internationally. And we do this through a sustainable and responsible practices. Next slide, please. I know we have all been busy responding to inquiries, providing the right information to businesses. EDC's job has never been more important. Companies today face more unprecedented international risk and risk overall than ever before. The message is that we're here to support. We want to make sure that you have access to all EDC program to help you navigate these difficult times. As Michael mentioned, there's direct program that are available to EDC above our normal program that I'm going to talk about in a bit. But the one that is directly available through EDC is the Business Credit Availability Program, which in partnership with BDC, you can access up to $12.5 million for operational costs. At EDC, this is a guarantee to your financial institution as well on a new loan in response to COVID-19 funding needs. The program is open to Canadian businesses in need of short-term liquidity to sustain operation through the pandemic, including companies that don't export. You do not need to be an exporter in order to benefit from the BCAP program that is offered by EDC. Proceeds from the BCAP supported loan must be used to finance operation. And we rely on our financial institution partner in order to allow for rapid injection of liquidity into companies. Next slide, please. We've been helping small, large, and medium-sized company since 1944. During these volatile times, our message is to put the experience of Canada International Trade experts to work for you. Reach out to EDC through our online platform or directly to myself here in Winnipeg. There's 2 other colleagues that are also available to assist. Next slide. EDC has increased its risk appetite in order to serve more Canadian companies impacted by COVID-19. This includes partnering with your financial institution to take on additional risk in order to bring capacity on commercial term on working capital facility given current circumstances. We help companies of all sizes, all industries, exporter, non-exporter. You can definitely reach out to us at EDC. Got one more slide on our couple more slides. One on our overall EDC products and services. Our products and services are well aligned with the challenges that Canadian businesses are facing right now. They're designed to help Canadian business overcome hurdle, reduce risk, and position themselves for growth. Our services include providing market knowledge, information on global country risk, but there's two key services that can assist businesses as they try to navigate through COVID-19. One is our risk management solution, one that is most known as credit insurance, account receivable insurance. As companies start during these difficult times hoarding cash and potentially become late on their payment, if you're a business and you have a credit insurance policy in place, at least you will have a safety net in the event that payment is never received. Your credit insurance policy will cover existing AR that are not overdue. Credit insurance also will protect you in the event that the customer simply decide not to pay. It helps you access more cash. We can assign the policy to your bank to unlock additional margining on those receivable to give you additional liquidity. And during these difficult times, it can provide a competitive advantage if you're able to offer payment terms to some customer. With our working capital solution, we're able to partner up directly with your financial institution, credit union, to provide them with a AAA EDC guarantee in order to allow them to give you more capacity. Given the volatility in the marketplace, fluctuation in currency exchange is keeping a lot of businesses up at night. So does the collateral that they're required to post with their foreign exchange broker or their bank in order to have access to a foreign exchange facility that would allow them to manage this foreign exchange risk. Working with your bank or your foreign exchange provider, we're able to provide them with a guarantee that will liberate the collateral that you need to post to have access to this risk management tool. The last solution that can be leveraged directly at EDC is an account performance security guarantee. If your business is involved in providing a bank instrument like a standby letter of credit or a bank guarantee, whether it be to the Canadian Grain Commission or to a foreign supplier or to a buyer for an advance payment, the bank will typically tie up security, whether it be a portion of your line of credit or take cash in order to issue those instruments on your behalf. With our guarantee, we can free that up, liberating that cash so you can put it to work to manage these difficult times. That is it for my presentation, and I look forward to the questions.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much, Michael and Willie, for your presentations on some of the programs that are accessible and are available from BDC and EDC to the business community in Manitoba. So maybe as sort of a starting point, and I know one of the questions that was asked, and it's in relation to a number of the programs, and they're just asking at this point that are the application processes open at this point for the various programs that you guys have at your disposal? Because I think in regards to a number of other programs, such as the wage subsidy program, doesn't open up until early next week. So I guess the first question is, are the programs that each one of you talked about, are they available now for businesses to start their application process?
I'll start, and Willie, I'll turn it over to you. The Canada Emergency Business Account available through the banks is, and I believe most credit unions, is open. They can go ahead, and it's been open since a week ago. They have processed literally tens and tens and thousands of applications. We get updates. So it's going quite well there from what I hear. The loan guarantee program, where BDC is in the background providing a 80% guarantee, is announced but not yet open. It will be open. My expectation is, I don't have an exact date for Chuck, for you and the people on the call, but my expectation would be sometime next week. All details have now been finalized with the banks and credit unions on that. It's just now a matter of rolling it out to everybody, trying to get all the 40 banks and credit unions signed on to that program. And the reason for that one is that it's an entirely new program. So when you have something net new, you've got to create it and put the machinery in place. The working capital program for up to $2 million at BDC is up and running. We are ready and able and willing to handle more applications. And I'll turn it over to you, Willie.
Thank you, Michael. For the BCAP program through EDC, number of large financial institutions have already announced that they're ready to accept application. I believe the big five banks have made a press release that is available to them. With respect to some of our direct EDC program, like the credit insurance or the guarantee to partner up with your bank to give you access to more working capital, that program is live. It's always been open. We encourage you to reach out to us here at EDC, and we will be happy to understand your unique need and see what would be the best approach to assist with you. With respect to credit insurance, EDC has increased its appetite. It's available online. If you have a single customer abroad that you're looking to insure, you can get approval online up to $1 million on our EDC website on selective credit insurance. With respect to our account performance guarantee or the foreign exchange, we encourage you to talk to your bank and have your bank reach out to EDC and see what program is best appropriate to solve your unique situation.
I guess for both of you then, for the processes for the application process, will these be done online, or is it best to contact either a BDC official or an EDC official from a business standpoint to walk through what the application process looks like? And I guess, knowing the program that, for instance, the SEBA program through the banks, it's really a 5 to 10 minute process to go through. Can you walk us through a little bit in terms of if a business is looking at some of the other programs that you've talked about, the kind of information that they're going to need to have to make sure that their application goes smoothly?
Sure. If someone is applying for a working capital loan through BDC up to $100,000, it's an online process. Chuck, it might take them about half an hour. Sorry, Chuck, do I see a connection here?
Chuck might be temporarily frozen there. We apologize.
I think I'm back on. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Mike.
Okay, great. I was frozen for a second. The system was frozen. I'll just continue to finish my thoughts. Anyway, the application process online, probably about 30 minutes to the maximum an hour, depending on your business. It's a fairly simple business. Having your latest financial statement handy, plugging in some of that information, and then there's a method to upload a financial statement. That's pretty much all it requires. Most of the information people would have at their disposal. If it's a business with many shareholders, like if you've got 4 or 5 different shareholders in a company that's a little bit larger, the process online, might take you a bit longer because there's a bit more information to fill in. If you're applying to a bank or to BDC for an amount over 100,000, the best thing to have at your disposal is your structure of your company, who the shareholders are, what's the corporate structure, your latest financial statements, and a cash flow projection, understanding what your cash flow is going to be over the next 6 months to 12 months. So we're generally looking at 6 months for sure as the working capital component to analyze and understand what the company's expenses now look like, any potential income or cash they have to help offset that, and what the actual need is for the loan. Willie, do you want to take it from there?
Absolutely. Most of our services are delivered through the banks. I'll start with the company that already has a relationship at the bank, has an operating line, potentially has inventory that are domiciled outside of Canada. The process in terms of getting access to more capacity on their operating line would be to approach their commercial banker or their credit union banker and discuss the liquidity need or the anticipated liquidity need that they have, and have their banker reach out to EDC for direction to see whether a credit insurance, for example, as a tool would allow them to get access to more margining on their borrowing base. To apply for credit insurance is all online, around 30 to an hour, depending on the number of customers you're looking to insure. As Michael mentioned earlier, we're dealing with unprecedented volume, but we're getting to as many requests as we can, and we're happy to potentially backdate some policy at the beginning of the month to ensure that some of your early shipments are covered. For the BCAP program, you are to discuss with your commercial banker. The process as well will be online between yourself and your commercial bank. EDC will be in the background. And for all other EDC product like the foreign exchange guarantee or an account performance guarantee to replace the collateral needed to issue bank instrument, we encourage you to reach out to us here locally.
I think I'm back. I apologize for that, everyone. Just the joys of technology. I guess I would ask the question, one of the questions that someone has posed as well, that there are a number of programs that are out there, and can a business apply for multiple of the programs that are out, or do they cancel each other out is the question?
Yeah, it's actually an excellent question. And I know many are looking at different ways and access to more credit, depending on what's going on with their company. And at this point, I'd like to mention one thing that I haven't mentioned to this point, and I'm not sure I would call it a program, but it is in effect by most banks and credit unions, as well as BDC, offering postponements. So most institutions, for companies that already had loans, have already provided loan postponements for 3, 4, 5, or 6 months. That has generally been the standard. I know at BDC, we've processed between 30 and 40,000 loan postponements across the country already. And I know the banks and credit unions are responding with similar forgiveness. And while not a formal government program like we've covered, it is one spot to get some cash relief and immediate cash relief. The second piece is to look at whether the CEBA solution, Canadian Emergency Business Account, or the guarantee at the banks, or an EDC solution, or a BDC working capital solution, all can be stacked on one another. So they are not, you're not excluded from one program if you apply for another, and I believe that holds true for EDC as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, so then from a business perspective, not necessarily having to pick one program over the other is not a decision that they have to make. If they're in a, and many are in very challenging situations, they should look to apply for as many of the programs as possible to determine whether or not they qualify.
That's correct. Yeah, they should understand, Chuck, their cash burn need. What do they need? And when I've talked to some of our accountant colleagues and friends at Myers Norris Penny and others, for example, they've told me the thing they've heard most from business owners is really trying to understand that it's one area of financial acumen, understanding cash flow, that many business owners don't understand, and how can they help in those calculations, understand where they can get some immediate relief and what programs are then appropriate.
And I think this may have been the question I asked before I got sort of kicked off by the Zoom police. Just asking the question just in regards to what kind of turnaround would we be looking for a lot of these programs in terms of being able to get cash in the hands of businesses, because as we full well know, that is the biggest issue is providing these businesses with the liquidity that they need. So what kind of turnaround would we be looking at for a number of these programs? And I'm wondering if you can maybe ballpark a little bit.
Yeah. I know postponements can happen within days, like it's very quick to postpone loan payments for companies. To provide the Canada Emergency Business Account solution through the various banks, credit unions, certainly each one is different, but I've heard that they're fairly quick. They're running through those applications within days, if not within a week. So that solution up to 40,000 is quite quick. Banks, of course, all differ in financial institutions. Some of them are providing operating loan bulges to their clients, and I understand that can be quite a fast process as well. Beyond that, our online financing group and our regular financing streams at BDC are running anywhere from about 3 to 4 weeks given current volume. So it is a bit of a wait time for those programs, just given what we're facing at this time.
Based on that process, and would that be in terms of being able to provide the dollars, is there a quicker time frame for a business to understand whether or not they will have passed through the process and have been approved for application?
Yeah, certainly qualification on loans under 100,000 is quicker and can happen within, it's a 48-hour type of process as long as we have all the information. If they're applying for more than that, I would speak to your account manager who can pretty quickly give you an indication as to whether or not you qualify, and then to start to quantify the amount. So, is it 500,000 or 2 million you need? Let's do they can help you with a quick analysis on that, help you look at the information and actually very quickly give you an answer. And they'll get the loan going and in the queue. It's actually getting it through the rest of the process that takes the time, Chuck.
One of the questions we were provided as well, Michael and Willie, is that if we have a business that's already an existing client of a BDC or an EDC, will that make it easier for the process rather than someone that may not have a previous relationship with either of your organizations?
I don't think it will make it easier, but it'll speed up the process because we already have a number of the information in our system. I wanted to touch on one thing that Michael brought up there, the bulges. In the last 5 weeks, I've worked with commercial banks and credit union to help existing clients and non-clients that have an existing relationship with their bank and they're looking for a temporary bulge to navigate through these difficult times. EDC, Export Guarantee Program, which I talked about earlier. We have the ability bank risk. That process typically, because the relationship is already established at the bank, and the bank that have been approved under our export guarantee program, including the credit union, are able to reach out to one of us here at EDC and get the guarantee, which at times can go up to 100% of that additional capacity that you're looking to obtain to support your business.
One of the other questions that's being brought up is if a business applying has any investments, would that business have to use those resources first before being eligible for any of the government financial assistance programs? So do they have to be at a certain state before they put in an application?
The answer to that is no, certainly not from BDC's perspective. And I would think that most financial institutions would react similarly. The way we would analyze this for the benefit, and I think most institutions would analyze it from the benefit of the those on the call here, would be to look at three components. That the first component is, let's look at the company itself. How is it doing before the COVID crisis? Because that's really normal state of operations for the company. What's its cash flow and how's it doing? When does it expect to recover? So, that really is the timeline of the need, and building in potentially a recovery period as well. Some companies will not obviously get back up to the same level of production within, let's say, 3 or 4 months. The second piece is to understand then how much could the company in normal circumstances afford in terms of a loan. And the structure of the loans can vary. So if it's a term loan under BDC's working capital, it's interest only for the first 12 months. So very patient. It is then 40% of the remainder of the loan is paid back over the remaining 24 months. And then the bulge, at 60% of the loan, is a balloon payment in 3 years. And either the company would have the resources to pay that, or it would be refinanced over a longer period of time. But the whole idea being, for 36 months, the company has less strain on them from a loan repayment perspective. So that's the way our working capital loan at BDC is structured. Certainly the banks, I think, when they're doing their programming under the guarantee programs, will look at it similarly. The third piece will be, if the company operations can't support it, is there some money that the business can put in? So if the entrepreneur has some investment, is the shareholder able to also help shore up a portion of the need during that period of time? So kind of a three-legged stool approach when we approach this.
One of the other issues that we've heard repeatedly, and it's becoming a keen issue right now, is just in regards to commercial rents. And I'm guessing that with the loan programs that you're looking at, those programs could be used to help offset commercial rents that a lot of businesses are dealing with. So there's not any sort of specifics on how the loan needs to be spent, that it can be used as really operating capital to get the business through these next couple of months.
Yes, it's true. And while the governments have postponed most of their requirements on taxes, submission of PST, payroll taxes, and other things, different provinces have taken an approach on education property tax and other. The loans can be used for taxes or for things like rent and any other normal course of business expenses. I have heard, Chuck, some landlords have been great. They, and a good partnership or relationship with, your banker, your accountant is good, but also with your landlord. Some of them have been really good at finding creative ways, but it is a balanced two-way street there. They need to, of course, maintain their business as well and their operations.
Similar to our program, it could be used for rent, payroll, day-to-day operations.
Okay. Maybe I don't necessarily have any more questions that are coming in through the chat function. So maybe we'll quickly wrap up here, gentlemen. I'm just maybe some final comments from each of you. What you're hearing from a number of your clients in regards to the challenges that they're facing, and sort of the resources as well.
Sure, I'll cover off a couple, and then I'll turn it over to Willie. Thanks, Chuck, and again, thanks everybody for joining this call today at the Manitoba Chamber. I know business owners, employees, families are struggling. We're going to get through it. Looks like Manitoba and Saskatchewan really have weathered the pandemic better than most provinces, and I think we'll be set, hopefully, to be some of the ones that are early to reopen and get on with life as in what the new normal will be. The couple of things we're hearing from companies, one is there's uncertainty, but I think they've worked through the uncertainty and anxiety now, but really starting to have a plan on how we're going to reopen and what that will look like. So starting to plan a little bit for the future, as well as, what might change in our business relative to what we've experienced. So many are working with new digital tools, online tools, setting up online stores or their employees virtually. There's actually potentially operational expenses and methods of operating that they might actually continue to adopt that'll lower their costs. So build the plan, revise the plan, but get ready because we're going to be reopening soon. The second one is continuing to engage employees. Many have, in some cases, laid off employees, or some may not have been aware of things like the work share program and others. And you don't want to lose your really good employees at this time. So I know that whether it's retaining them and paying them less and using the work share program, or just simply being in contact with an employee that's been laid off, but touching base with them once a week or having a group employee chat to keep them engaged. Because when you need to rehire them, you want to rehire your best and make sure they're available to you. With that, I'll turn it over to Willie and thank everybody. And thank you, Chuck and the Manitoba Chamber for having me present today.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Chuck. One of the common themes that we're seeing a lot is businesses being concerned about their foreign customer as countries, cities, states are going on to lockdown. Businesses are concerned that existing contract might not go through, potential future business might evaporate. And what we're advising clients is to look at a total risk management for their company, from foreign currency exchange to credit and commercial and political risk with your customer, and also your foreign suppliers. Businesses that have a strong relationship with supplier, whether it be in Asia or in the US, are now seeing the supplier being tight on payment terms. Where in the past, where they've benefited from some open terms, they're not being asked to pay up front. And in order to get terms, they're being asked for certain guarantees in order to continue to benefit from the privileges they had before COVID-19. These are all situations where an EDC account manager, myself, or my colleagues locally here can assist business with, whether it be ensuring that your customer, your contract is covered, it will protect you, or working with your bank to give you more working capital, or working with your bank to provide a trade finance instrument to your foreign supplier to give you more term. These are the options that will help create liquidity. You can get liquidity by getting more debt, or you can work with your supplier or your customer. In events where your customer is in a position to give you a larger down payment or an upfront payment, they will often want a guarantee to ensure that you will perform as per the contract. This is where we can help with our guarantee to help replace the collateral needed to issue those instruments. We want every Canadian business to look into EDC to help them manage all commercial and political risk that their business is exposed on. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks very much to Willie Fogang, a Senior Account Manager with Export Development Canada, and Michael Selsey, the Senior Vice President for the Prairies for the Business Development Bank of Canada, for joining us today on this first edition of Asked and Answered. And we appreciate everyone for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be on the line as well. Just some additional information that we will share with you. If you go to the Chamber of Commerce, the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce website at jointhechamber.ca, a lot of the programs that have been announced, we do have them on our site. There's additional information in regards to specific programs and initiatives that the provincial government has put out in Manitoba. So you can simply go to our site and find information there, or contact any one of us at the Manitoba Chambers of Commerce. We'd be happy to help provide you with that information. In addition, we have recorded today's video conference, even the 5 minutes when I was kicked out by the Zoom police. And we'll make that available on our website so that anyone can share it with their local chambers or other business people that weren't able to be on the call. And we think that's important as well. So again, thank you for taking part. And again, if for any other additional information, go to our website at jointhechamber.ca. And I appreciate once again, Willie and Michael taking time out of their busy schedules to make time for us today. So again, thank you everyone and have a terrific day.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.